hell no. Now that's better. This is your president, Ms. Entertainment, and welcome to the Power Hour. We getting ready to kick this thing off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right. What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Ms. Entertainment. I am the president of the Real Ass People Society, so welcome to the Power Hour. Check us out on Terradome Entertainment Radio, where we play the best hits from old school to new school, hip-hop, R&B, and more. So again, go to Terradome ENT Radio. .com and click on the listen live button. Well, maybe not today. Yeah, you can still click on that button. It won't be live, but you know what I'm talking about. And of course, if you don't catch it, you can always catch us on Terradome ENT, YouTube, or on all your major podcast apps. And of course, I'm not in the place alone. Let me introduce my Chief Entertainment Officer, DJ Talented.
What's going on, world? What's the business? What's the business? You know my famous saying is, it's better to be above it than under it. You dig?
You dig? That's what we're talking about. And today's guest is owner of Mav3rick Studios Worldwide, Mr. Dwight James.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? What's going on?
All right, so before we get into the show, to the meat of everything, I always do my check-in. How was y'all week, fellas?
Well, my week was it's kind of fast. Been going back kind of fast. Yeah, so and a lot of long days. Do that go together? Long days and going fast?
No, not really, but okay.
Yeah.
No judgment.
Well, okay. That's because I work nights. That's I work nights, so I'm all messed up.
Can't even talk, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm all messed up.
Got mumble mouth over here, but anyway.
Yeah, my week was eventful. I had a interview with the agency earlier this week, and it went
Yay!
really well. And it's in the realm and space that I've been wanting to get into for a while. Experiential marketing, which is putting together many activations, events, things of that nature. So look forward to hearing from them. I just moved to California, so that's different, new. I've been here for about a month, navigating this new space, this new terrain. I'm a long way from Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm also a long way from Atlanta, right? Being in Atlanta for 3 years, and it's kind of grown into my second home, maybe, sort of. I always kind of joke with people and say that I have mixed feelings about Atlanta being my my second base, but I've grown to really love the city, and I kind of miss it a little bit. But I know I got work to do out here.
So dive in a little bit more about LA. How has that this month, that experience? Tell me what's been going on.
Whew, this month in LA has been tough. It has really shown me, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur, to be in a new environment, right? So I lost a lot of business when I came out here unexpectedly, and it's not on the fault of anyone, except timing and the powers that be. So it's set me back a little bit. However, I always I've noticed that the through line in whenever I move to a new city is the best way for me to get started and get like brought into the mix is through community service. So one of my mentors from middle school, his mom lives in LA and his brother lives here as well. So she asked me, "Hey, can you volunteer at the Sickle Cell Foundation event and a golfing tournament?" I said, "Sure." Met a whole lot of people, and things finally started to get jump started. And from there, I was able to volunteer at another event. And, just from volunteering at those three events, I feel as though that I really got connected with the community out here. A lot of community leaders were at these events. So, it felt like the world got small, even though it did feel a little bleak. I also have another mentor that lives here as well. So, he's been bringing me into the mix in terms of the poetry and the art scene.
Mm.
And it's been interesting to say the least. LA is the type of city where depending on where you are, that determines the type of community that you will have. So, to put that into context, I live in like the Hollywood-ish area. However, a lot of the people that I either like I'm in community with, they're typically in Inglewood. So do with that with what you will. But I believe that Inglewood is going to be the city that will really bring me up. So that's how things have been. LA has been, like I said, interesting. But I think once I'm back to where I need to be, work wise, then I really be able to enjoy the city. I've been blessed enough to have different people in different pockets of the city that are doing things to look out for me and kind of guide me through this maze because it's tricky.
I'm
It's
sure.
tricky.
I'm sure. Any new place, and especially place like LA, is
Hmm.
definitely tricky. That's a good word for it. But we just stay prayed up, and of course, you got my total support and prayers over here, just to make sure I know you're gonna do well out there. So I'm not even worried about it.
I
I'm
appreciate
not
that. Thank
even
you so
worried about it.
much.
So, well, my week it's been good. I got a chance to attend this leadership conference, and it was amazing. It really was amazing. I made some notes and stuff. I know one, I got a lot of nuggets out of it, but one of my, I guess the main one that I truly need to lean into my greatness. Because sometimes, especially being women, y'all don't know, but we kind of I guess I don't dumb it down is not the word, but we tend to not celebrate all our accolades or whatever for just being making sure you don't want to feel like you're bragging or you're bigger than that and people's like, oh, you think you all that, but you know what, everybody is all that, and you need to embrace that, and who likes it, they like it, who don't, they don't, and keep it moving. So don't be afraid to lean into your greatness. That was my major takeaway from this.
I love that. I love that
Yes.
so much, and it's crazy that you mentioned that because if there's anything that LA has taught me, it's that everybody has a story. However, there are some people that want to mute other people's stories in an effort to boost the volume of their own story, right? So, with being out here and being so community driven and being so community oriented in my approach with things, when I arrive, it's you might only see me at the moment, but in reality, I got people behind me and they ready. They right there. You know what I mean? At the drop of a dime. You know what I mean? And it's so important to work with people horizontally. And I'm really happy that Issa Rae embraced that ideology because now all the people that she did work with, not everybody's elevated. And I want
Hmm.
to take that same. I'm taking that same approach
There
with
you go.
things out here. Like I just because I'm shining, that don't mean you can't shine with me. There's
Right.
probably something I either don't have the capacity to do or I just don't want to do that. Hey, look, let's figure out how we can bring everybody into the mix. And I think most importantly, in where I'm at right now in my life, I feel compelled to always make space for Black women, um, because for some reason the world just wants to find every reason to make them feel small, and I'm like, nah,
Yes.
I'm gonna give Black women and make space for Black women in as many places and circumstances that I can.
Appreciate. We
That's
need
my mission.
more of you. So thank you. Give me some claps there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
All right. So Mr. Engineer, let's go ahead on and get into some business.
All right, let's go ahead and do it. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Dwight, the owner of Mav3rick Studios. So tell me this: what was that one thing that really drove you, pivot you, however you want to say, into the photography and film industry? What was that thing that's like that pulled you there?
Whew. I remember it vividly. Uh, I was I was performing somewhere in Jacksonville, and I just thought to myself, okay, spoken word poetry is typically done where people memorize, they stand and deliver, they do the poem, and they leave, and that's it.
Hmm.
And so when you see that so many different times, I just thought to myself, there isn't more to this. Like we, outside of the merch, outside of the books, like there isn't more to this that we can't. No, there's got to be more to this. So it was in 2017 where I started photography first. And shout out to my bro, Corey Wheeler over 29 Productions. He was really someone that uh, helped grow me when it came to doing photography. But my photography aunt, Miss McCargo, it was because of her investment that I was able to really get started. However, it was because of Corey and his pushes and our late night just studio sessions as well as like lectures that I was really able to learn photography from a craft based perspective because I wanted to put poetry in a space where it typically was not at, right? So I think it was during the pandemic, which funny enough, this book is right in front of me. I made a still film book. It's called Backseat. And so it's an assortment of photos that I took of two friends of mine. And I'm going to highlight just one photo that I feel like encapsulates the entire book because when I was just like getting into it, I was focused on intimacy. Even though I tell people all the time I'm not a lover boy, but I enjoy observing love, right? So and love and intimacy. So this is one of the photos right here.
Okay.
This photo here, I really think encapsulates like a paparazzi style moment. So it was really this book that just told me, yeah, I can do this photography thing. I just gotta keep doing it, keep shooting. But yeah, if it wasn't for my auntie Dory, and if it wasn't for Corey, I definitely probably wouldn't be where I am right now when it comes to photography and video making.
Okay. Because that actually was going to be my second question. Who has been your biggest influences? And how did they shape your style? Were there any others, especially that's big in the industry?
Uh, I would say for the photography side, there's a there's a few people. I think his name is David LaChapelle. I think is his name. Um, and there's a few others. They are blanking on me right now, but I have a running list of all of them because I what I do is anytime I see someone that just draws my eye,
Mm-hmm.
then I put them off to the side to a list in a list that says artists that inspire me. So in that way, whenever I'm feeling down, I know exactly where to go to recharge myself. On the film side, I definitely would say, of course, Ava DuVernay. I definitely would say Spike Lee because the comparisons are insane. And I definitely will say some of Tarantino's pieces, but not all of them. I like how Tarantino is very off the wall with his work. He's experimental in nature, and that's really what I lean into as well as a filmmaker. Like he crazy, and he shows that he's crazy. But I enjoy the fact that like he leans into that so much. Um, and those are the people I definitely would say are my inspiration. And I would love to work with Ryan Coogler though, because seeing how Black Panther 1 and 2 have worked together so well. Rest in paradise, Chadwick Boseman. Though that those two have worked together so well, I'm really like how he can take something that's fantastical and then embed reality into what it is that we're experiencing. So I
Okay.
definitely would say those folks are my people that inspire me. And then honestly, literature is my biggest inspiration for the visual work. So writers like Amir Baraka, Terrence Hayes, um, Rita Duff, Patricia Smith, Louise Glick, just to name a few. Like, there's a lot of work that they've created that just sparked my visual creativity as a result of me engaging with their literature.
Okay. Um, I, I when you said that, it's like I like Quentin Tarantino too. Um, he's a little off, but I like that part that he goes against the grain. So it's not you know it's going to be something a little bit different from with his. And you know another and I don't know, I can't remember his name. I think it's Jules Samuels, but he was the
Hmm.
writer and director of The Harder They Fall and the Book of Clarence.
Hmm.
His style, I was like, I think it's just amazing, amazing. And it's funny when I was like, when I watched the Book of Clarence, I was like, wait a minute. I actually, he's like, that got to be the same guy that did The Harder They Fall. And when I went back and looked at it, I was like, yep.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just looking at the way he did the camera work and just the vision, I knew that had to be him.
Right. Right.
It was so funny about that. So you said you're a person that loves to see intimacy. So a film or photograph intimacy. So what is your approach to capturing the best of your subjects?
So for me, I talk people through everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on comfort. I borderline think of myself as an intimacy coordinator, right? Like, everything is about permission. Everything is about making sure everybody's okay with what's happening, because I don't like to operate in the gray. It's either yes or no. That's all it is. And if it's no, cool, let's pivot. If it's yes, let's make sure that we operate within respect, right? So with um backseat, what I showed you all, I was big on just like, hey, I'm gonna I'm gonna talk to y'all, and I'm literally just going to guide this scenario as if I'm just directing a scene, right? Hey, he just called you, and you're looking forward to being around him, and he pops up, and it's like he's there sooner than expected. How are you going to respond to him? Another instance is one of y'all is about to go out of town for an extended period of time. You don't know when the other person is going to return. How are you going to make this moment last? Right. So I'm giving my subjects slash people that I'm working with different scenarios. I'm talking them through, so in that way I can guide their imagination, but then also help them navigate their emotions as they're working through their imagination. Because as I'm talking to them, and as we're working through the scenario, the situation, the circumstance, they're going to start feeling things. So now that they're going to be feeling things, it's like, all right, how can I be someone that's guiding them through them, so that way I don't accidentally trigger them, or I I don't get them lost in the moment. Because though I want them to be in it, like, I also have to understand that we still got to shoot for X amount of time. So
Right.
I have to be able to let them, all right, cool, we've had this moment, let's navigate to the next moment, and the next moment, the next moment. So I really keep each just image, whether it be in photography or it be film, as a series of conversations. And how are we navigating from one conversation to the next, so that we can get us to that end point from the beginning.
So you're the intimacy guru or Dr. Intimacy? I don't know. I like that. I like that. And you're just making them make sure that they're comfortable in the moment, being present.
Yes.
Love it.
and,
Love it.
and that's the biggest thing, right? Because there's so many opportunities to not be present. So I want who I'm working with to take full advantage of the present. Like, hey, we all here together. We all here in this moment, and this moment is the only thing that matters right now. Like, whatever thing is burning down, whatever thing just fell apart, whatever, like, we'll get to it when we get to it. But let's navigate this, so that way we can, exit this experience once it's done. Because then once it's done, whatever they do outside of whatever I've helped craft, that's between them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Y'all navigate that. Y'all navigate that. But once we done with this, all right, cool, we good. But we got to get through this.
Yeah. This is your, I guess, safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, got to make people feel safe when they're doing things that require intimacy because a lot of people are afraid of intimacy, which is what I found, right? Like you have people that don't mind being in front of the camera. You have people that don't mind talking in front of large groups of people. But when you ask them, hey, when was the last time someone like gave you a real hug? Or when was the last time someone just listened to you and didn't want to respond or like a better question is when was the last time someone asked you, do you need me to listen to you in order to like respond to what it is that you have to say, or is that you just need to get something off of your chest?
Mm,
Because then that takes a different level of consideration as to how you think about yourself as well as how you're being considerate of the other person.
mm-hmm.
Because sometimes people don't want to hear you while they're like venting or navigating what it is they're feeling. They just need somewhere where they feel safe, so that way they can navigate those emotions.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't navigate those emotions. They just have them, and they just they translate that into the work, so that way they distract themselves from navigating their feelings. But what happens is when you don't navigate your feelings and when you don't do the work that's required to go from one moment to the next, and you just kind of brush over the work that needs to be done internally, then you put yourself at risk of imploding.
Yeah.
Like, and no one wants to project on anyone when, I mean, we have all the opportunity, time, and availability of space to let someone know how they made us feel, what it is that we're feeling, and even if even if you can't process it with the person that's making you feel that way, find that space or those people or that person outside of that can help you navigate what you're going through, because you don't want to carry that extra weight, and then now like that self-resentment starts to build, and the more that builds, the more that you start to resist the growth that you actually need.
I heard something today. You don't have to agree, but what you do have to strive for is alignment. Alignment
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean agreement. And as long as you align, you know, that's your goal. Just making
Exactly.
that alignment where you're making that coming to common ground. You know,
Exactly.
love it, love it. Let's talk about some of your biggest clients now. Who
Oh wow.
who who have you had, and what was the most interesting experience?
Let's see. I think I can speak to like two.
Okay,
Now, are we talking like socially big or like
whatever you classify as big to you,
okay, all right, because like that could go in a myriad of ways.
I get it.
So so I could say like my biggest clients, one of my biggest clients was working with Killer Mike, and that was so cool because like he's someone that I indirectly grew up on, and like I listened to some of his music over the years, but to be able to really be in his space, to capture a moment for him for his new tape that came out, Songs for Saints and Sinners, that was so cool because this is me in a space where like he's this is all things that he's earned. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I'm able to be in community with someone that inspires me beyond the stars, right? And shout out to my mentor, Andrew Thomas Clifton, who was like, "Hey, yo, you over BTS?" I'm like, "What?" And for something like this, that's so major, especially with it being a moment in time where like he's he's taking that high that he had from winning the Grammys and he's elevating it. You know what I mean? And that's what really inspired me from working with him. And then um, my other biggest client would be. I would say working with the Tantrum Agency, and I say working with them because David, who's the CEO of Tantrum, he is someone that will push you. Um, he will ask you to not just do the bare minimum, but like if you say you can do it, you better do it to the best of your ability, right? So he's hired me to work with this firm called Beam, and they're based in DC, if I'm not mistaken. And then he also hired me for some work to work with the CDC, and that was those two big moments were interesting to me because when I worked with Beam through his agency, flew to Denver, was there for the weekend and whatnot, and like that was to capture something that they concepted out and then it was finally built, right? So this is
Wow.
an activation that was done, concepted by Tantrum, and then it was taken out of their minds and then physicalized. So I had to capture every single piece of that activation. uh and then with the CDC stuff, most people don't know, but I don't do graphics. The graphics that people see like all across my social pages and whatnot, some of them like I do if I have the vision. But
Mhm.
just to be like, hey, we can start from a concept and I'll design. No, that's not me. That's not me. I'm not gonna try to make it be me. But the work for the CDC, like I did motion graphics, and that was really my first time doing it. And for some reason, something told me that I could. And David gave me a shot to do it. I turned it into them. They loved it. I was like, okay, that means a lot to me because you never know what you're good at or never know what you're skilled at until you put yourself again, like when you put yourself in those circumstances, right? Like this is a big client. This is a government client for Tantrum, right? Like, what do you mean I got? But yeah, man, like it's so cool to be able to do certain things like that, because of the fact that doing these big things. And I was like, yo, this the government. What? Huh? How does that work? But hey, you never really know. So it was really cool. I would say like those are my two biggest. I would say, well, I can mention the last one. I worked with Ridge Productions to do some work with Timbaland's team
Okay.
for the Missy Elliott tour, and that was kind of wild. Like I've done a concert or two before, but I was not only in the pit, but I ran all into the audience. I was in the high rises. Like every single part of State Farm, I was there. It didn't matter what side of the stadium. I was in every single nook and cranny of State Farm. I'm like, oh, excuse me, need to get through, getting all different angles, like kind of directing people from afar, like, hey, look at me, wave, dance. I'm doing all of that stuff and just dibbling dabbling. And then people notice that I'm like coming back and forth and all this stuff. So they're like, oh wait, excuse me. That was a crazy time because I think Timberland's performance was maybe 40, 30, 45 minutes.
Oh
So I
wow.
had to run from different sides of the stadium, all that, and I had to get it all. And I think I had like maybe 200 or something clips,
Wow.
200, 200 or 200 or 250, something like that, or whatever. I was like, nah, I got to get all this. So yeah, I got every angle of Timbaland. I got that. I got all that. So I would say those are my biggest as of now.
Okay.
But we never know what'll happen soon.
That's right. I would say I never, you know, met Killer Mike. I mean, I was at a live interview where he was, of course, this being interviewed, and I was like, he is amazing. So I very very down to earth, and yeah, he gonna say it. He gonna say
Hmm.
what he feel.
Hmm. In his words, he be talking that shit.
Yes, it don't matter. It's like this is how I feel. This is where it is, and that's how it's gonna be.
Hmm.
So let me ask you this then. Let's go ahead on and flip it to the other side of the house. What
Hmm.
was the most challenging situation you've come across, and how did you handle it?
Oh, I've had many challenging situations. um, and it actually with tantrum.
Ooh.
So we're in Denver, and I'm going around getting the footage, getting every nook and cranny. Me not being careful, I lift my camera up. My camera falls to the ground.
Ooh.
The screen breaks.
Ooh.
It's still usable, but I can't see anything. So that means that I have to the once 4K footage that I got, I have to use my photography camera to get like a little bit of footage here and there, right? That was so difficult because I'm like, yo, this camera costs like 1,800.
Ooh.
How am I gonna replace this? And lo and behold, like David being the amazing person that he is, and I'm panicking in my mind or whatever, because I'm thinking it's a soft drop. It's fine. No, the screen is shattered.
Mm.
You can't see nothing. But David, being who he is, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have to shoot everything else on this camera, cause my camera's broke or whatever. And he says, how much does it cost to fix it? I was like, excuse me. I'm like, I don't know. I got to look it up. He said, find out how much it is costing. I got you. I was like, what?
Wow.
It's like, what do you mean? He's like, it's nothing, man. Like, we'll figure it out. I was like, in that moment, right? I'm panicking because I know I'm thinking in my mind, I gotta replace this, right?
Mm-mm.
This my bread and butter. You know what I mean? But he's like, no, like just figure out how much it is. We'll handle it. And in that moment, I was so shook because had it been any other client, they'd have been like, oh, well, we got to figure something out. You know what I mean? Like by the grace of God and all His creations, the work I turned over was excellent. Uh, but I would say that was one of the hardest situations I ever had to be in because like my tool did not work because it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
But I got saved by the people that hired me. That's a very rare circumstance. Most people are not doing that. Most clients are not doing that. So it was kind of at that moment where like I really appreciated David for that moment. You know what I mean? And like whenever time passes more and more, whatever, I definitely will tell that story more because not everybody's gonna do that.
No. So they would
Like,
just said, so, so what are you going to do about my footage?
that's all you would have heard. You know what I mean? And I was like, I lost my breath because again, phone out there. You know what I'm saying? Got housing as well. So I was like, oh my stars, what am I gonna do? But to have that reassurance, I was like, yeah, nah, we're gonna be working together for a long time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like, if there's ever any way that I pay it for, can pay it for, I will pay it forward, right? Like, it was in that moment I was like, that's the type of CEO I want to be. That's the
Yes.
type of creative director I want to be. That's the type of person I want to be, right? Someone that could make something that's not their problem. You know what I mean? They could have just, oh, he had all right. He could have literally went to someone else that was in Denver, and then what I mean, I would have just had to fly back home and things of that nature. He could have did all that, but
Yeah.
he's like, no, I see what you have. I see your vision. I got you. And that's just how David is. You know what I mean? And it was in that moment that I learned. I'm like, yo,
And,
we're tight. I got you, no problem.
and those are the type
Like,
of people you keep close.
so close. You know what I mean? Like, again, I wouldn't have expected that. Not at all.
Right.
I wouldn't expect that at all. But the fact he was willing to look out for me in that circumstance, listen, if 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 I gotta fly myself out, I'll do it. No problem. I'll do it
Yes.
because of that.
Yeah. So, as we all know, the entertainment industry is very competitive. How do you stand out amongst your peers? What do you do?
I tell people all the time, I do the stuff and things no one else wants to do. So that's sometimes sending off emails to people, that's sometimes picking up my camera even though I don't want to, that's doing community service even though I know like other people are getting paid.
Hmm.
And I often I'm often in spaces where it's my elders that need that assistance, that need things to be like translated socially for them. And I'm typically the person that has the patience enough to help them translate it. It's like, again, for example, with the sickle cell event that I helped out here in LA, they needed someone that was like, hey, can you make sure all the bags are done? And then once you make sure all the bags are done, can you kind of go through the list for all the tables and then make sure the tables are assigned based off of different things that they need? I said, cool, no problem, handle it. And then there was a little hiccup throughout the night and all this stuff, and I just handled it without even needing someone to tell me.
Hmm.
And that is really the thing that was like, okay, he's solid, right? Like there we don't have to question him, we don't have to monitor him, we don't have to look over his shoulder because he understands the level of importance that this thing has. And the way in which I've been able to continue to stand out is that some days I do stay a little longer. Some days I do arrive a lot earlier than everyone else. And it's in those moments that people realize that they want to keep working with me and they recommend me for paid work because they already know what they're going to get. Like once you know how a person is, okay, cool, yeah, he's good, no problem. So it's really been that service oriented atmosphere that I've carried everywhere I've went, and that's really been the thing that separated me from a lot of my peers. Like a lot of people don't want to do community service, they don't want to pay it forward, they don't want to be in different spaces where they're not in the spotlight. Doing community service is no easy feat,
It's a
but
thankless
the other,
job.
it's super thankless. And the unfortunate part is that like because we live in a world and society where everyone needs money to live and all sorts of stuff, there's a certain level of social capital that you get from doing community service that you can't get when you're working for something. It's
Hmm.
different. People, depending on the dynamic and depending on how you pitch yourself to people, people respect you more because you do service based on the boundaries that you have set for yourself, right? Like, all right, cool, I'm gonna do this for X amount of time. After this time, I'm gonna send the invoice.
Right.
Because then once you establish that boundary, then they're like, all right, cool, I know Dwight is done for free after this time.
Hmm.
Dwight can't do this after, you know what I mean? So that's really been the thing that's been separating me from a lot of my peers. Like I show up and do the things that are hard. I show up and do the things that people don't want to do. Like, and the number one thing that I always ask people whenever I'm working with them, whether it be paid or whether it be unpaid, is how can I help you make your life easier?
And what the one thing that people truly, I'm not gonna say all, but there are some people that don't grasp is this business is about relationships. It's built
Hmm.
on relationships. So if you don't have that relationships, it is going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah. And again, part of getting that relationship is just being around a bit longer just to listen to people.
Hmm.
Because I always tell people all the time, people will tell themselves, they're gonna tell themselves before you get inquisitive about what it is that you want. Just listen.
Yeah.
I promise you, the answer that you're searching for, someone's going to just tell it to you,
Just
and it
taking the
happens
time to
every time.
listen. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
You know, you want to learn how to get vendors for an event. Sit around at a event that you're volunteering for. Listen to what everybody got going on. Hey, I heard you did this. I'm trying to learn that. Can you teach me a little bit more? Tell me more a little bit about that. Hey, I'm looking into this thing, and do you have any opportunities where I can be over it? So then now what's happening is that you're working with high level individuals on a nonprofit community service oriented side. And then when it comes time to introduce yourself as someone that wants to work with them, excuse me, it'll be nothing for them to recommend you because they already understand your approach. They already understand who you are. And it's not a question of what kind of person that you're going to be once you get to work.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked with them before. So I'll give a prime example. When I worked with the National Collegiate Entertainers Group as a director of media, I told them I wanted to do some panels. And I had to establish and build a relationship with Love Renaissance. So um, shout out my guy Evan. He's over merchandising at LVRN. I had to be on like consistent communication with Evan. I'm like, hey, look, we have a panel that's going to be happening at George Gwinnett College. We have a panel that's going to be happening at the AUC. We have a panel that's going to be happening at Kennesaw State University. We have a panel that's going to be happening at Georgia State University. Who can you get me for these topics? So not only was I moderating them, but then also I had to make sure they were recorded, and I had to make sure I got talent.
Right.
And again, this is all volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
all volunteer. And then legit, after doing so much, now different people within LVRN and that are LVRN adjacent, they're like, oh yeah, hey Dwight, what's going on? Yeah, we did the panel for you for NSEG. I said, oh yeah, cool, no problem. What you got? And then again, maintain that relationship. Let people know how I'm doing, checking in on them, seeing how they're doing. And then from there, like people invite you to things. You get to hang out. You get to be in these different spaces. And anything is just a question now. Hey, look, can you put me on this list? Hey, look, can you? Hey, I'm looking into this thing. Can you help me get a hold of it? Oh, for sure, bro. No problem.
When were you part of NSAC?
That was 2020, I think 2022.
Oh, okay. Post COVID.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely post COVID. Definitely post COVID. Shout out my guy Prez. Um, I really loved being on the grounds with NSEG because it really gave me perspective about a direction that the music industry can go in, one. But then two, it created a hub for the performers at each institution because oftentimes people are trying to figure out like, okay, how can we get a performer or where is it that we go to get performers for our institution and are they good, right?
Mm.
So when I was at Florida State, it was, hey, look, we need poets or we need some singers and stuff like that. But to have like a collective of performers, artists, photographers, engineers, uh, to have all that in one space, and then the school knows this is where we go. Oh yeah, that was
Nice.
beautiful. That was beautiful. So I'm so glad I was able to pour into NSEG. And I mean, I still have relationships, connections with NSEG and whatnot. Um, and I'm looking forward to the day when I can, invite students out to different events that I have here in LA and different partnerships that I'm curating and putting together. Because I really believe that those students out there that are doing their thing, they just need that one shot and they just need to be in that one space and they just need that exposure, right? I know for me, when I had exposure to going abroad and living in India for 3 months, it changed my whole perspective of how I see travel, changed my perspective of how I see art on an international level. And I know that if I change their perspective as to how they see music from a from the perspective of being in LA, perspective of being in New York, outside just being in Atlanta and whatnot, with it being a mecca of music, now they don't see themselves as just an Atlanta artist. No, you're a nationwide international artist that just so
Mm-hmm.
happens to be from or based in Atlanta.
Based in Atlanta. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, shout out to NSAC. My daughter was in there, but it was pre-COVID, right when
Mm-hmm.
COVID kicked off. But she had to step away because it really, everything was shut down and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she really enjoyed that organization.
Love that. Love that. Glad she did.
So, what would you tell someone to um, that's just starting off in photography or film, or what could you, if there's is there something that you would tell your younger self? if you could meet your younger self?
If I could meet my younger self, I would I would tell them to keep telling people what you're interested in. One, keep telling people what you're interested in, and find a community organization where you can where you find a community organization where, in so many words, where you can fuck up. And I say that because, like, you're going to mess up a lot in the beginning because your mind does not understand the terminology. Your mind doesn't understand how the tools work. So go somewhere where someone just needs someone to, hey, look, I need you to cover this thing. Hey, look, can you edit this stuff? It's gonna look bad. Trust me. I was in a point where, like, I was struggling to understand Premiere Pro because I didn't understand what was happening, right? My
Hmm.
mind was jumping between creative writing, theater, and Arabic in college. So with me overloading my brain with all these different things, all right, cool. I'm gonna throw videography and photography in there. It looked bad at first, but then the more I did it, the more I got adjusted to seeing it and looking at it. I got good. So again, tell people what you're interested in. Don't be modest and don't be like some people where they've told themselves what they're interested in, but they ain't told nobody else, and they assume that people just are supposed to know based off of what they do and all this stuff. Communicate it, speak it, and be clear, so then that way people know how to help you, or they can get you the resources that you need. And then find that community organization that needs what it is that you're trying to learn. Hey, look, I want to do this thing for free. I'm trying to learn things. I'm trying to grow, so that way I can be able to understand what the business is, and then also understand, like, what's my style, what's my you can't you can't get good if you don't work through being bad.
Yeah, being
Like,
consistent.
being, so those are two things I would say to my younger self. And then lastly, have fun, and don't take things too serious, because when you take things too serious too soon, then you give yourself unrealistic expectations to be good fast.
Mm,
Unless if you're in it every single day, every single minute of the hour, you are not going to be good fast.
yeah.
That's the truth of the matter. You're not going to be good fast. And it's okay to not be good fast. I promise you. There are people that are doing the bare minimum, getting paid a lot of money because they stuck with what they know and they are okay with that.
Yep. Cool beans. So our last question is, what's next?
What is next? So I am in a heavy planning phase. I am looking to start organizing and putting together events here in LA, some mixers, some creative workshops, and curating partnerships as well with different nonprofits and for-profit entities here in LA. So that way I can start to get introduced to the community as someone that's a curator as well as creative director. So people can start knowing who I am and what I do, and working towards a working working towards working at a studio in development, um, but then also joining the DGA whenever that time comes. I really want to join the Directors Guild of America so I can get access to all those different opportunities. But I also want to work in development because what most people don't know is that though a lot of people want to be television and film writers and things of that nature, they are at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to the work that you do. Like, they're nowhere near the top. So it's the head executives, it's the secondary, it's the VPs,
Hmm.
the senior VPs, it's the creative producers that are basically the bridge between the studio and the production company, and then it's the production company slash producers, directors. It's the showrunner, and then it's the writer.
Yeah.
Once I learned that, I said, "Whoa, okay, I get it." So I more so want to be in development, so that way I can be able to understand how things work from pre to post production,
Hmm.
and also still while writing and still while getting better, and then understanding, what does a winning pitch look like. If you don't know, then you'll never find out. So my goal is to find out, so that way I know, and then once I learn, I can do it myself.
There you go.
My goal is to learn how it all operates, So that way, once I learn how it all operates, I can just do it for myself and do it for my people because I know, I'm aware, and there's no guessing anymore. It's okay. I'm activating the knowledge that I actually have, and it's only just about getting the money up. Which sponsors always gonna want to pay to have their product seen somewhere. So
This is
that's where I'm
true.
at right now.
All right. All right. We I like to try and stay on time. So we're gonna move
Mhm.
on to what I call let's get into some real ass question of the day.
Oh wow.
All right, the president elections is what within a couple of months, and we are winding down to seeing who's
Hmm.
going to be our next president. So here's the situation: your significant other decides to vote opposite of you, and tells you that if you don't vote the same way as them, then they're not sure if they can stay in this relationship. What do you do? Okay, either.
First off, I'm voting for Kamala. That's number one.
So if they vote for Trump,
So it's just gonna have to be an unfortunate circumstance. To have to feel as though that you want to put an ultimatum on politics, um, that's a little wild to me. I understand why. I get why. However, I know me, once I made up my mind, don't try to change my mind because then it's gonna irritate me. We just gonna have to be great separate.
and that is.
We got to be great separate because if you feel that just because I'm not I'm not aligned with you politically that we can't be together, then what does that say about like your negotiation skills? What does that say about your willingness to compromise? What does that say about your mental preparation to be in a long-term relationship? You're not going to agree on everything.
No.
Because if you agree on everything, then that's no fun, you know.
Mm-mm, you're not
But
challenging each other.
you got to see, you got to be willing to see the other side of the room, you know, and be okay with like, all right, you're over there. I respect where you at. Kudos to you, but I'm not going over there, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about that one.
All right, DJ Talent, what are your thoughts? Because you was ready to come off mute.
Uh, Trump and Kamala. See, my thing is what are you talking about when you're trying to become president? Trump talks in circles. He don't seem to talk with any goddamn sense. So that
Hmm.
means he's not gonna politically be with any damn sense. So whatever he does is not gonna be with any sense. And for Kamala, she's talking about things. She's talking about the abortion thing. Uh, Trump wanted women to not be able to have abortions. Um, and it's people that's at my job right now that's fighting hard for Trump, and they are color fighting hard for Trump, talking about he ain't never heard Trump do anything wrong, any of that. Like, man, this man said that he can go in the middle of New York State and kill somebody in broad daylight and get away with it. He's excited the damn thing that happened to the Capitol. Dude, what more do you need to know that this dude ain't worth shit?
But
But
if they still are in support and they challenge you, like if you can't support me, then in my choices, then maybe we not supposed to be together.
we ain't. Because for the simple fact, because my belief is my belief, your belief is your belief. If you believe that we need to separate because of that, fuck you. I'm gone.
So let me ask both of you guys. Now, there's not an ultimatum, but could you be in a relationship that with someone that um, adamantly supports Trump,
No,
meaning they go hard in the paint for Trump?
not at all. Fuck them.
But yeah,
I don't
but you
think
said
so.
you could, whatever their decision is their decision.
But that means
Yeah,
we're gonna clash all the time when we talk anything about politics or what's going on in the world. We're gonna clash, and that's that's a big part of a relationship. Is you talk, you communicate, and things like that. And if you can't communicate, there's no relationship.
it's a dictatorship.
Pretty much.
Because I mean, like, okay, they're really supportive of Trump and whatnot, and my question will always be, okay, you're really supportive of this person. What policies do they have that you believe in? What policies do they have that go against your well-being and go against the reality that you live in? And do you truly like, if you truly think that they're the best fit for America, like, how is it that how much of yourself do you see in them?
They said, well, Trump said he gonna give me a stimulus check.
Fuck Trump.
You can make a stimulus check. How about that?
He said he gonna Kamala ain't giving me no stimulus check. I'm voting for Trump because he gonna give me a stimulus check. What is that? What if that's their response? Can you still be in a relationship with them?
I would say you
No.
stupid.
I,
I would
I
really
understand that
say
part, but could you be in a relationship with somebody?
no, no, because that means you just in it for the little change. You're not in it
Hmm.
for the big change. The big
Yeah.
change is trying to get this world to come together, or at least the United States to come together as one people. But you got your person over here talking about, I want the stimulus check. That ain't your 40 acres and a mule, motherfucker.
Well,
Get it together.
still,
Mm.
but what happened to? I respect your view, and but we can still live in harmony.
Ain't no harmony when you can't communicate. There's no
It's
harmony
kind of
when
like
you
if,
can't communicate.
like some. I feel like when people to try to operate in harmony with someone that believes in someone that does not bring harmony, that is contradictory to trying to operate in harmony. So it's like, yes, I can respect what it is that you believe. I can respect where you stand. I can respect what you think. However, if I know that you're an advocate for someone that does not bring peace and does not abide by harmony, then that's a disaster waiting to happen every day.
Agreed.
It'd be one thing if Trump was the type of person where like he was not as off the cuff, was not as wild, and was not as unhinged, and he was docile, and you know what I mean, but he was just assertive and stern. Okay, but to really incite violence at any point in time and to be ready to, nah, nah, I'm good off that.
Yeah,
You can keep that one.
yeah, pass, right?
That's a hard pass. You can keep that one, Chief.
All right, fellas, that was the real ass question of the day. So we're gonna move on to celebrating some blackness, some black excellence.
Mm.
All right, every week we recognize and celebrate the achievements and contributions African Americans have made to this country. Today we celebrate James Earl Jones. He was a pioneer for black actors in the entertainment industry. He was well known for his extensive and acclaimed roles on stage and screen. Such roles in movies as The Great White Hope, Fences, Star Wars, The Lion King, and my favorite, Coming to America. He is one of the few performers to achieve the EGOT, which is the getting the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. He was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame in 1985 and was honored with the National Medal of Arts in 1992, the Kennedy Center Honor in 2002, and the Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award in 2009, with also the Academy Honorary Award in 2011. So today, James Earl Jones, we salute you and your contributions to making this country great. Rest in peace.
Rest in paradise to the chief, the chief
Yeah.
being.
Announcements. So, of course, we got the Night of Inspiration open mic and more at the fabulous Magic Soul Food Restaurant in Sandy Springs, October 5th, starting at 7 p.m. Come get your soul and your belly fed. We will have featured artists and open mic plus giveaways. Um, are you navigating a career change and looking for empowerment, inspiration, and a supportive community? Come check out Impact, meaning impact stands for individuals moving past adversities from career transition empowerment group. We empower each other to achieve new professional heights, whether you're exploring new industries, looking to level up your skills, or seeking a group to help you thrive. We are here to help. We're having our meeting on October 3rd at noon. Come bring your lunch and let's empower and share. For more information, please hit me up at info@terradoneent.com. That's info@terradoneent.com. That is our show. But before we close, we need to pay some bills. So here is a word from our sponsor, Terradone Entertainment.
Oh, computer's moving so slow.
Terradone Entertainment. We turn your fear of dreaming into amazing realities. If your dream is to become a photographer, we have a nice intimate photo studio just for you. If you want to record that next hit song or do voiceover work, we have a state-of-the-art studio also for you. If you want to professionally record your own podcast, well, we have that too. Check us out at www.terradoneentertainment.com. We are the only ones to turn your fear of dreaming into amazing realities. Shout out to dude over there, producer extraordinaire for some of those beats. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at info@terradomeent.com. That's info@terradomeent.com. Final word, DJ Talented.
Well, now this presidency is something else. For again, I think that most people need to read between the lines and look further into what's going on than just stating some one fact that you may have found out from one person. Because a lot of people be talking about Kamala as Indian. Her mother is an Indian. What they got to do with anything when she's trying to pull together the United States? And then with Trump, he just, as I said, talks in circles and get people on his side because of division. He wants to divide a lot of different situations, and yeah, that's it.
Okay. And Mr. Dwight James, any final words for us?
God's good all the time. I
That is
believe
true.
that we got to operate in the things that call us to our purpose. Um, we get one life to live, so we need to live it to the max.
Right, right.
And don't make excuses. Make a way.
There
Figure
you
it
go.
out.
Make it happen.
There you go. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Our real ass check your truth time. So recently I heard from someone that I hadn't spoken to in a while. After the usual how have you been greetings, she immediately shifted to asking me to buy something from her. On one hand, it irritated me. I hadn't heard from her in months, and now she's reaching out for a favor. On the other hand, I appreciate her honesty, and at least she was straightforward and didn't sugarcoat her intentions. But it did get me to thinking. I value honesty, but is there a rule about how to be honest? If the only reason someone reaches out after a long silence is for their own benefit, do I have the right to feel upset? Or should I prefer the lie where they pretend to care about, what's going on with me and eventually get to why they're reaching out to me? Honestly, I'd rather not be contacted at all. Don't pretend to be my friend. If you're only looking is a transaction, then find the people you're okay with that. I'm looking for real connections, not surface level exchanges. I am your
Mm.
president of the Real As People Society. God bless you and these United Motherfucking States of America. All right. And my real ass quote of the day: friendship isn't about who you've known the longest, it's about who has walked into your life and said, I am here for you, and proved it. All right,
Mm.
join us on the Real Ass People Society. I don't mess that one up. But join us because we're on Terradome Entertainment Radio. We are the Real As People Society crew. You can catch this show and others on either the TerradomeENTRadio.com or on our YouTube app. And of course, you can hit us up on IG at Power Hour _ raps _ crew. I am your president, Ms. Entertainment. You can contact me at MIZZ _entertainment _ATL, Chief Entertainment Officer.
You can contact me at DJ Talented _ the number one on socials.
And Mr. Dwight. How can folks reach out
Dwight
to you?
Dwight James III. You type me in Google, you'll find everything you need.
All right. And as always, I leave you with this: be kind to each other, love one another, keep God first. Thank you for joining. Stay safe, and we're out.